What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into the episode of My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Sleaze. Today, I was going to do my rankings, but we got to switch it up here because Thursday night football. So I want to get these videos out first. So my next video, or this video, is going to be my 5 smash start wide receivers that I firmly believe you will give you a floor of 12+ points and a 20+ point ceiling with touchdown upside. And some of these players from the next 2 videos are both going to fall in the Thursday night game. That is why I'm pushing them ahead. So my rankings will drop tomorrow. Guys, before kickoff, they will all be out. So I'm just updating that right now. So before we dive into it, guys, make sure you tap that like and subscribe button. Hit that bell. Make sure you have it on. I'll be live Thursday with the first start sit show of the week and then live all weekend long. The birthday's Friday. We got a little something special coming on Friday for all the support you guys showed me. I'm going to do a little giveaway comeback there thing on Friday that you guys got to be in the stream for. If you guys haven't checked out the sponsor, drafters.com, make sure you sign up using promo code SLEAZE, S-L-E-E-Z. It will double your initial deposit up to $100. We do best ball, pick'ems, DFS drafts. We drop all of that into our Discord over here. The guys FF that I run with Big Draft Energy. Both of those are pinned in the comments and in the description of the video. If we talk fantasy football 24/7 off stream if you guys want to check those out. Now, let's dive into my 5 smash start wide receivers. And Rashee Rice is no longer on this list. And these aren't going to be like superstar wide receivers. So I don't do like Jamar Chase is going to smash. These are like pretty much wide receivers outside the top 10 that I'm guaranteeing they're going to smash based on the matchups and information I'm going to give you right now. Starting off with smash start, the wide receiver number 1 is going to be Jaylen the Sizzlin Waddle right now and Thursday night football. And that's why I did this video early again, guys. You're going to have the Ravens coming into Miami. Both these teams getting big wins last week. And here's the main thing you have to look at already right here. The over-under is at 50.5, which is absolutely wild for a Thursday night game. Usually they're about 45.5, usually lower. And yeah, Lamar Jackson's going to be back in this game as well. But what you have to look at here with all of Jaylen Waddle's stats, so we'll go through his stats first here, is 50 targets, 35 receptions, 504 yards, 4 receiving touchdowns. Target share, 21.3%. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky for me. That's not wide receiver 1 alpha usage, but he's getting the job done with efficiency like ridiculousness. So even his snap share, 81%, that's not elite wide receiver 1 usage, but still he's producing at a massive rate, 77.5% route participation. You expect all these numbers to go up, right? Because you got to look at the first 4 weeks of the season when Tyreek Hill was out there. Red zone targets number 42, deep targets number 5, and he has 109.7 points, and he is wide receiver 13. Now, outside of the Cleveland game in week 7, which was terrible weather, he's had 24, 21, and 16 points without Tyreek Hill out there. The connection with Tua is absolutely growing. He's had 23 targets for those 3 games. That's like a 7 target a game average. That's throwing out the Cleveland game, which was just terrible, where he had absolutely nothing in that game. Now, besides the point spread, why do you got to like this so much with the Baltimore Ravens? Well, here we go. The Baltimore Ravens, guys, have given up 40 points a game to the wide receiver. That is second worst behind the Dallas Cowboys. They are just not a good secondary again this year. Same thing as last year, 98 receptions, which is also bottom 5 in the NFL, given up just to the wide receiver position. They've given up 1,113 yards, and they've had their bye. That is how bad this defense is. Think about the Dallas Cowboys. They've given up the most yardage with the New York Giants. They're both at like 1,370, 1,390. The Ravens are at 11-13, missing a game. So you're already looking at one of the worst pass defenses statistically yardage-wise there is. You've got 10 touchdowns given up, which is tied for 3rd worst. And again, they've had their bye, and the Cowboys are the worst with 15. Tua is going to find Jaylen Waddle in bunches in this game. And let's say Lamar Jackson and the Ravens get up. They're up 14, 17 points. Garbage time is coming in bunches with the pass-heavy attack here. I like Jaylen Waddle, and I'll even throw a bet in here. I like his fantasy points. I like his receptions laddered up. I like his yards laddered up. And I like an anytime touchdown for Jaylen Waddle. Absolute smash play with an easy 12-point floor with 20-point upside this week. Smash start number 2, and I know it's dicey, but we are going to roll the dice on MHJ this week. And I rolled the dice on Matthew Golden last week, and I obviously missed. And oh man, I usually grab that tweet. Hang on, in this next part of the video, I'll pause it midway through here, and I'll grab my smash start tweet so I can show you the hits from last week. I like to be transparent, showing hits and misses. I forgot about that. But we're live, so we'll do it live here. We'll throw it into the next one, and I'll cut it halfway out here. So you're getting Monday Night Football here. You're getting the Cardinals versus Dallas Cowboys. The over-under is 54.5. That is the highest game of the week. That is what you want to target. Now, I know that Kyler Murray may be out there. We may be in for a little Kyler Murray game, but the matchup can't be better for Kyler Murray, right? So he has had, 3 of his 5 games with 13-plus points for Marvin Harrison Jr. Not bad. He's only had 1 game where he's seen 10 targets. That was in Week 4 against Seattle. And Seattle's a good secondary, and he made that great catch in the end zone. They put his head down, get his confidence up. Now's the time. Marvin Harrison Jr. off the bye this week. You're going to get the Dallas Cowboys defense, and like I just said with the Ravens, you heard the numbers. The Dallas Cowboys are the worst. 41.5 points allowed just to the wide receiver. 96 receptions. They've given up 1,378 yards, second worst behind the Giants, who have 1,390. 96 receptions is also bottom 10 in the NFL. And here's the big number, 15 touchdowns they've allowed. That is, so second worst is 11 with the Detroit Lions. That's how bad the Cowboys secondary has been. Now, Dallas coming off that loss to Denver, they kind of got embarrassed on the road. But Dak really hasn't been good outside in the cold. Something I alluded to, even though I still wasn't benching Dak last week because they're hot. This is going to be a bounce-back game for the Cowboys offense. This is going to be a high-scoring shootout affair if the Cardinals can keep up. And even if they can't, Marvin Harrison Jr. is not coming off the field during garbage time unless they're down 30-plus points. So I absolutely love Marvin Harrison Jr. for a 12-point floor with major 20-point upside against this awful Dallas Cowboy defense. Smash start number 3, but before we dive into Rome Odunze, who I had on here last week as well, and he absolutely hit, I'm going to show you the receipts because I like to be transparent for you guys so I can be better weekly and talk about it. I completely forgot at the beginning of the video, so I'm throwing it halfway through, and I kind of cut back on my Rome Odunze live tweet for this. So this is my Week 8 Smash Start Transparency. I had Caleb Williams on there. Guys, I'm going to have Caleb Williams on here again. They played the Cincinnati Bengals. That was a miss. I had Joe Flacco. That was a hit. The goal with the quarterbacks is 20 points. Breece Hall, that was an absolute smash. DeAndre Swift hit. Alvin Kamara, banged his knee up in the second quarter, then never came back in the game. So you got to take the L there either way, even with the injury. J.K. Dobbins, that was a hit. Isaiah Pacheco, of course. Kareem Hunt gets 2 touchdowns, and I liked Pacheco's yardage over 50 as a lock. That was a hit, but he's still not getting that red zone work, and now he's out week to week. Could be cooked for Isaiah Pacheco here. Wide receivers, Devonta Smith, that was a hit. Rome Odunze, that was a hit. Cortland Sutton, man, he had a touchdown, called back on PI, and then he had another touchdown he dropped. He absolutely could have cooked and just didn't, so that was a miss. Rasheed Rice, like I said, will no longer be on this list. He's now in the superstar category, which is why I told you to buy low every single week you could on him. Matthew Golden, I took that bold shot. I'm done with the Packers wide receiver room. I'm done with Matthew Golden. Big L there. Tucker Kraft hit on the tight end side. Usually I miss on the tight ends too, so this is a better week for tight ends maybe here. Hit that Mason Taylor, Breece Hall touchdown pass, which was nice, and Colston Loveland had the opportunities and just didn't get it done. So I went 9 for 15, 60%, which was worse than last week. I put some notes at the bottom here, too, on my Twitter if you want to check it out. Same thing. My mind is a weapon, fantasy football, sleaze bomb. I said Matthew Golden was a bold call. He's droppable now. Chiefs running back, I'm staying away from regardless now. Caleb Williams is starting to make owners and Bears fans, and me included, real nervous. But we're doing one last dance, and we'll get to that on our quarterback side. Now, Rome Odunze. Why you got to like Rome Odunze so much this week is going to be the same reason that you should have liked him last week was the Baltimore Ravens. Like we talked about Jaylen Waddle on the first slide. He crushed the Baltimore Ravens last week for 10 targets, 7 receptions, 114 yards. That's why I like Jaylen Waddle as well. But so we'll look at Rome Odunze's stats here, and then we'll look at the Cincinnati Bengals and the matchup that they have, and it is going to be, for some reason, this crazy 2.5 point spread for the Bengals. Like they knew that Joe Flacco wasn't going to, or for the Bears, that they knew Joe Flacco wasn't going to play in this game or something ahead of time in Vegas, which is weird. But if you've noticed anything with these smash starts, what do you notice? This is another 52.5 over point spread. I like to target the high implied point total games. That is where the money is made in fantasy football. That is where your points are made for your teams. And that's what I love to target. So Rome Odunze on the season, 56 targets, 31 receptions, 473 yards, 5 TDs, 25.5 target share, right around low-end wide receiver 1 target share usage. Snap share, 92.7, perfect wide receiver 1 usage. Route participation, 93.7, perfect wide receiver 1 usage. Red zone targets, I'd like to see this go up. I mean, he has 15 deep targets, which is number 4 in the NFL. Caleb is gunslinging it out there. But where are the red zone targets? This should be in double digits by now. 6 is unacceptable. I'd like to see that number come up. And then he's wide receiver 14 with 108.3 points. Now, you get the Bengals here, and we're hoping that Joe Flacco is out there, man. We really, really do not want to see Jake Browning come out there in this game because then it's going to change the game script. And I firmly believe that the Bengals and Joe Burrow's hopes and dreams of this season are on the line because they should have won that game against the Jets, and they just threw it away. So, Cincinnati Bengals, and you know their defense is terrible across the board. They do rank 13th versus the wide receiver, giving up 30.48. But it's like their touchdown in the red zone is why this defense is ranked lower. They've actually given up 1,135 passing yards to the wide receiver, which is, bottom 10, but they've only given up 5 touchdowns. And this is where I'm talking about Rome Odunze's red zone usage. We need to see it hit here in this game. And I love Rome Odunze for an easy 12-point play this week with possible 20-point touchdown upside. Smash him into your lineup. Smash start number 4 is going to be Declan DK Metcalf going up against the Indianapolis Colts at home. 50.5 over-under. Why is the over-under so high in a game with the Steelers in it? Because the Indianapolis Colts are just averaging 35 goddamn points a game. This is the best offense in football. 7-1. They might even have a home freaking playoff game, which is crazy with Danny Dimes. Now, we'll look at DK Metcalf's stats here. For 43 targets, 27 receptions, 461 yards, 5 touchdowns. And guys, he has 5 touchdowns out of the last 6 games. And there's only been 7 games. He has 5 touchdowns out of 7 games. That is like a 75% alarming rate of TDs for DK Metcalf. Aaron Rodgers' connection is growing with him, and it's starting to look pretty. Target share, 21.8%. Usually around 25% for him. I'd like to see that higher, especially with Aaron Rodgers. Snap share, 91.4%. Wide receiver 1 usage. Route participation, 91.4%. Wide receiver 2 usage. That's number should say hashtag 25. I think I messed that up. And then another thing like Rome Odunze, red zone targets at 6. This number's got to come up. DK Metcalf is a big body beast, 6'4", 235 or 233, whatever he is. Monster in the red zone. Throw the ball up to him more in the red zone, Aaron Rodgers. What's going on here? Deep targets 8. That is not the DK number either. Like when you just saw Rome Odunze as 14, what is DK doing with 8? There's not a lot of other wide receiver help out there besides Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin. Yeah, they're both streakers, so maybe it hurts his deep balls, but that number's got to come up to me as well. And then he's wide receiver 17 with 103 points. Now, woo-wee, this matchup is gold, baby. So the Indianapolis Colts, they've been getting absolutely cooked by wide receivers this year. Outside, inside, slot, wherever it is, across the field, doesn't matter. But I've been saying in my videos, like, is the Indianapolis Colts D really that bad, or are they just blowing teams out by 20 points a game? Because they're on like Tom Brady 18-0 Patriots fucking beat teams point differential right now. They're chasing history right here with how bad they're blowing teams out. So it does make their defense look worse because by the end of the game, they'll just, start to play lesser defense and give up points. So the Indianapolis Colts rank 30th versus the wide receiver, giving up 39.2 points per game, 120 receptions. That is number 1 in the NFL. And that is literally 13 or 11 more receptions than number 2, which is the New York Giants. 1,363 yards. That's third worst behind the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants, and 9 touchdowns. Now, when you're looking at this game here, the Steelers, they're starting to slip away in this division. They had it. They need to get this win back on track, but I don't think they're going to keep up with the Indianapolis Colts offense by any means. So when I'm looking at this game, we're looking at not a Jaylen Warren run game. We're looking at a full Aaron Rodgers, 40-plus pass attempts, DK Metcalf, 10-plus targets, monster game with major touchdown upside against the secondary that has been getting beat by wide receivers. But again, it is kind of, saturated stats, I'd say, when you look at it. So DK Metcalf with 5 touchdowns out of 7 games is a smash start for me this week against the Colts in a high potential shootout game. And he's an easy 12-point play with touchdown upside for 20-plus points in this game. Number 5, I had to save my boy for the end. Travis Hunter, time, season, everything is here. Man, I've been taking so much hate for this guy for the first 7 weeks. It is finally good to see Liam Cohen and the staff using him like they should have been using him the whole year long, which I could have told you that on week 1. Hire me to the staff, Jaguars. It'd have been pretty simple, man. So Travis Hunter, and you got to look at these numbers like he's learning the whole position this year, right? He did play wide receiver in college and cornerback in college at the same time, but he wasn't really practicing. If you've watched the updates, he never really practiced playing wide receiver, so he was just out there running and gunning. So 45 targets, 28 receptions, 298 yards, got his first touchdown in week 7 before the bye. It wasn't garbage time, but it still counts. Target share is 17.9%, number 52. And here's the number. So snap share, they were at 53, 59, 56, 57. And then all of a sudden, week 5, you get that update from Liam Cohen saying Travis Hunter is going to be our focal point of the offense moving forward here. And all of a sudden, you see 67% snaps in week 5. And then week 6, you see 78% snaps. And in week 7 against the Rams, you see 87% snaps. Woo, 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 woo. I cannot wait for this to hit. Man, if you've seen the amount of scouting work I did, the amount of talk on Travis Hunter, it's been absolutely bonkers. So, and then he drops 24 points in week 7 with 14 targets. That is insane numbers. Now, we know Brian Thomas Jr. has that shoulder problem as well, but it's a good sign that he's out of practice, so he could be out there as well, too. That does not stop me at all from starting Travis Hunter for the rest of the season from here on out. And you got to look at it like this as well. So his route participation is still at 76%. Red zone targets at 4, not bad. Deep targets at 6, not bad as well. And 63.8 points, he's wide receiver 43. Now, you're getting the Las Vegas Raiders off the bye. The Raider Nation, man, it's pretty much over in Las Vegas, and I think they all know it. And Geno Smith looks like probably the worst signing in a long time. So why is this so advantageous? Because they struggle versus the slot the most in the NFL, and versus the wide receiver alone, they give up 39.1, which ranks 29th, 97 receptions, which is bottom 10 in receptions allowed. You just saw 14 targets for Hunter, 1,136 yards allowed and 9 touchdowns. All of those numbers are bottom 10. And you know the Raiders are going to struggle in the run game here. Jacksonville's very good versus the run. Yeah, maybe having Brock Bowers back could open it up. Obviously, that's common sense. But we don't know how Brock Bowers is going to look. And Geno Smith and Brock Bowers haven't even looked good anyways. And we don't know if Jacoby Myers is going to be out there either because he's a high trade candidate right now. And you wouldn't want to start a guy that go get him hurt and try to trade him away. That wouldn't work. So, man, with the updates that are coming out, like you just saw another update, significant role, the wide receiver 1, the usage, like the first read target is going to be Travis Hunter. This is how electric superstar talent this guy is. And he's even on some waiver wires, which is crazy to me. Go pick him up if he's there. Put this man in your flex. Thank me later. He's going to give you 12-plus points, possibly every game from here on out, especially in PPR, with 20-point upside and a touchdown upside every single game with his electric playmaking ability. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the end of the episode. This is my 5 smash start wide receivers that I'm guaranteeing a floor of 12-plus points with upside of 20-plus in week 9 with touchdown upside, guys. If you guys have any questions, comments, make sure you drop them down below. I try to answer every single one of them for you guys. If you haven't already on the way out, make sure you hit that thumbs up, hit that subscription button, turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. It's been absolutely amazing. My next video is going to be my top 10 sleepers heading into week 9 because some of them are going to fall in this Thursday night game. So that's why, again, I'm doing these early. And then I'll get to my quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end rankings. And then we'll do smash start quarterbacks and wide receivers. I'll have that all out before Thursday tomorrow before the kickoff. And then it's the birthday weekend, baby. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed the content. I will catch you guys in the next episode. Sleaze Bomb out.